Since the information came out about Final Fantasy 16 and the non-open world, or whatever you want to call it, open world has been a heated subject for a while now, as far as like, is Rebirth going to have it? Is Final Fantasy 16 going to be open world? Is all this other stuff going to be open world? I want to offer my take on all this and use a bunch of different examples. Like, for me, the two instances of open world, they get it right. They just completely get it right. Great story, fun stuff to do, plenty of quests, all that kind of stuff. For me personally, is the Elder Scrolls, Oblivion and Skyrim. I love Oblivion, but Skyrim takes it to a whole nother level, and The Witcher 3. For me, now granted I haven't played every open world game, but even Fallout 3, Fallout 4, New Vegas, they're not perfect open world, right? They're kind of bland, and they're supposed to be dismal, right? But even those games, for me, didn't quite do it. I think for me, the type of game I favor most is several huge zones. I think of the Tales series. Tales of Arise, Tales of Xillia is easily one of my favorite PS3 era video games. Final Fantasy 12 has great wide open zones to go to. And you could build a big list of JRPGs that really do the big open zone thing well. PlayStation 2, you can take it back to PlayStation 2, Star Ocean Till the End of Time. Great open zones. And it feels like open world because they're all connected. And you could even look at Final Fantasy VII in a way and say, look, you're on a world map, but it's not open world, like the old PS1 game. It's not what we think of as open world, right? It's just a big open map that you run around on, and there's some random battles and a few little places on the map to go to. I have talked with a lot of you, kind of ad nauseum, about whether it should be open world, whether it shouldn't be open world. In my opinion, I'm fine with the big open zones. If done right, they have to be done right. They have to be huge, right? Sprawling. Plenty of stuff to do. Give me places to go, things to check out, things to investigate, you know. But at the same time, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16, all these other games, they're going to have plenty of stuff to do. It's not going to feel like linear if it's just zones, right? Everybody's like, nope, it's got to be open world. It's got to be open world, dude. Nothing. I won't accept anything else but open world. Stop and listen to yourself for a minute. Or some people are like, I absolutely do not want open world. Nothing aside from big open zones will satisfy me. They're going to do what they're going to do, and I think they're going to do a great job with it. Final Fantasy 16, I think it's going to be amazing. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I think it's going to be amazing. Even other games coming down the pike. Star Ocean Divine Force, I think that looks like it's going to be amazing. Let it simmer. Let's find out what this stuff is. Open world. Do we need it? I'm going to be honest with you. We don't need it. Do I want it? Yes. I absolutely want it. I hope they give it to us. But is it a deal breaker if it's not open world? No. Huge zones. There's nothing wrong with that. And we've been getting it for years as JRPG fans, right? Not just Final Fantasy fans. It's not just a Final Fantasy thing, right? It's JRPGs. It's how they roll. It's how they make their games work in a lot of instances. And I look at games coming out like Starfield. They're just this completely huge experience. I look at the other end, easy for me to say, I look at the other end of the spectrum on that, right? It looks like there's going to be like a jungle planet and a fiery volcano planet and a desolate rock planet. That's not imaginative. That's just bigger zones. That's all it is. Like, if you can go to 1,000 planets, I'll say it. Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Like, I could care less about going to 1,000 planets in Starfield and doing all this other bullshit. Give me a good story. At the end of the day, give me a good story. The map, the world map, open world, whatever you want to call it, it is side dressing to a great story. That's it. That's the truth. And as I see it, that's how I feel about it anyway. Your truth is different than mine. I get that. I'm not saying this is universally right, but from my opinion, the genre of games that we enjoy, JRPGs, that's what we enjoy. That's what we're into, right? That's why we're all here at this channel talking about this stuff. Everything but the story and characters is side dressing. If you've got a great story and great characters, good artwork, good music, the gameplay, I am intrigued by what they're going to be giving us soon. I am intrigued for a deeper look at Final Fantasy 16. I'm intrigued at a bigger look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But we have to be patient. We have to let them figure out what they want to do. I feel like the huge zones, just the huge zones themselves, are going to be on par with open world as it is. If you think of like, what was the last really truly great open world game we got? Probably The Witcher 3, right? That was probably the last truly great open world, universally renowned as a great game. Not your favorite game that was open world. The universally renowned game that was open world was probably The Witcher 3. That was probably the last really great one. Cyberpunk? No, I don't know much about Cyberpunk. I know it got panned. It wasn't ready when it came out. We're not getting off on that discussion. That is not even on the table because of how failed that was when it came out. So probably The Witcher 3, if I'm guessing. And Cyberpunk just takes place in that city, so it's not really open world. It's a big zone. I've had people come to me and tell me, it's like, well, Cyberpunk is open world done right. But it's a huge zone. It is not an open world. It is a huge, massive zone. It's not a world. The way I understand it, right? It's a city in the outskirts of the city, correct? That's a zone. That's not a world. So I think people need to understand more in depth as well what they're asking for when they ask for open world. I think Starfield is really trying to target that. But again, what they showed us for Starfield at that the Xbox press conference, what they showed us for Starfield, was it Xbox or was it a different thing? It was Xbox, Summer Games Fest. I think it was, but anyway, what they showed us, I'll be honest with you, I was not impressed. Everybody was like, oh, are you looking forward to Starfield, Ray? Are you psyched for Starfield, Ray? Not after that presentation. I'm not psyched for that game at all. And I'm a huge Bethesda fan. But Bethesda, they're a C plus student with genius potential. That's the thing about Bethesda. They're genius potential C plus student. So I have to wait and see what happens there. I want a new Elder Scrolls game. I'm ready for that, but we'll see. So open world, big zones. That's my take on it. Everybody asks me all the time what I prefer. I prefer a great story. Whatever the world does for me is side dressing. Because at the end of the day, it's all about how you traverse the world. It's all about how you get from point A to point B. Because once you get the airship, once you get the teleportation or whatever it is that you can fast travel to different points, a lot of the exploration for open world is pretty much done at that point, and the game urges you to push through the narrative. People like me will go and grind and do all the side quests and go to every nook and cranny of the map, and if you have to cover 100% of the map, I'll do that. But again, that's more of a zones-based type game. So, with that being said, I think I am more the type of person that leans toward big zones, because a lot of the games that I've loved over the years, that's what they've done. It's not that I have a preference. I've seen that done better, more than I've seen open world done well. So that's just my final take on that. So anyway, throw a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell so you know when I got new stuff coming. Y'all watch YouTube. You know what we ask for at the end of these videos. Just do all that stuff. And until next time, y'all have a great night. Be safe, be good to each other, and keep rocking. I will see you all in the next video. I want to say a quick thank you to my YouTube and Patreon members and supporters. If you would like to support the future creation of content on this channel, get some few extra perks and some art sent to your door every month, consider becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. Details and links are in the video description.